families, it's Mrs. Davis. I'd like you to come on in and take a tour of our classroom. Hey families, thanks for coming on in. I thought you might be interested to see what a day was like in first grade. Now that we've gotten things started and the year underway, I thought I would just take you around and show you our everyday routines and give you a little insight into exactly what we do here in first grade. So enjoy the tour. Okay, well, let's get started with the tour. The first thing the students will do when they arrive is they'll come to their chair and they'll check to see if there's any checked work on top. After school, I always go through their folders and check their work, and I call the top of their chair their mailbox. So as they're pulling out their planner and their red folder, they'll be taking this checked work home for you to view. After that, the next thing they do is come over here and vote for lunch. So I normally have 2 lunch choices ready to go and also lunchbox. They will take their little face from the door and vote for their choice, and then I have a helper job where someone will be taking the count down to the cafeteria because that's really important for them to get the right amount of food cooked every day. The students are also welcome at this time to go to the bathroom. You can see right here I've got some bathroom passes. Their little faces are on, they actually made the little passes, and their little faces are on the passes so that they can put it on the door and we know who's in the bathroom at all times, so that if there's an emergency we can make sure everybody gets out and nobody walks in on anyone. So that is pretty much our morning routine. We do that, we have Pledge of Allegiance, moment of silence, and then it's on to our next activity. Our next activity is to meet up front. We meet in a whole group. Excuse the carpet. I know it's a little bit spotty. I can see it from here. But we meet up here in our rows and we have what we call morning meetings. So we're finding out about the day and what special we're going to. We sing some songs. Our theme right now for September is all about apples. So we have some apple songs. We do poetry. We do the calendar. We have a student that updates the calendar here on the wall, and also I have a slide on our morning meeting that has the calendar. So we'll go through all the slides and just get familiar with what our day is going to be. We always end up with a goal slide so everybody knows what's going on for the day. This is a really important time of the day and it gets us prepped for all things first grade. Now, after we get back from our morning special, which we have first thing in the morning right after our morning meeting, we do our phonics program. This is called Letterland. You can see this little book right here. It is a very colorful program that has lots of characters involved that really helps the students develop some phonics reading strategies like sounding out words and being familiar with patterns. You can see this is one we're working on now. We're working on Annie, Apple, with some rhyming families, and we always have a goal so the kids know, why are we doing this? What's the purpose? And this really can build those early reading strategies. So Letterland is a really fun and important part of our morning. The last literacy activity I'm going to talk about is writing workshop. My heart is definitely in writing. I love to hear a good story, and I also like to write my own. So during this time, students will be exposed to really good stories told to them by great authors. Hopefully they'll get inspired to write their own great stories. During writing workshops, students are free to select their own topics and to write and draw what they feel like writing. I think that's great. Writing should be about what you like and what you know a lot about. Now, I always give a good model for them. I try to expose them to how a good author should write. So I always model, this is a picture of my writer's notebook from a couple years ago. So I always try to craft out a good story for them so they have a model. You can see maybe as you look closer that some of the words are not spelled correctly. As I model, sometimes I'll use my sound spelling because we want students not to be afraid to write. They're not going to know how to spell everything, so we allow them to use their sound spelling to help them to express themselves without feeling intimidated. Writing workshop is a great time of expression. During our math time, we all meet together at the beginning, and we do this little chant, Math at School. Hey, Math at School is really cool. We're also going to not just meet as a whole group, but we're also going to split up into teams. So each group has named themselves. We have the Panthers and the Cheetahs this year. And when we're in math groups, students are staying with me to work on skills. They're also breaking up and going down to the math room with Miss Temple to work on the Chromebooks. They will be working on the iReady program, which is a computer math program, and also Zearn, which is another computer skills program. With our math, we will be using all kinds of math materials. We'll be using some dice, and we have some different kinds of charts that we'll be using. This is called a number bond chart. We also have our 10 frame. So we will be using lots of tools to help us, and we'll also be playing some games and activities. I just wanted to kind of let you know that math is not just paper and pencil, but we also have a lot of fun activities that we do that are hands-on, because math is definitely in first grade is hands-on. The next part of our day probably is the students' favorite time of the day. Yeah, you guessed it, it's playground time. Of course, who doesn't love playground time? It's a chance for us to just take a break from our work routines. The students grab their snacks and we grab the playground equipment, the walkie-talkie, and we head out for a break. The kids eat their snack, enjoy talking to their friends. They've also really done well with being responsible for taking out and bringing back in our playground, our balls and our equipment, and they've used it really nicely too. They've been safe, and they've had good sportsmanship, so some really good relaxing time, fun time, getting out some energy. When we come in from the playground, we have one more activity that will close us up before we leave, and that is our social studies, science, or health time. So usually this is a seasonal study. So in September, we might be studying apples, Labor Day, community helpers. October, we will study fall animals. We will talk about fire safety, things like that. So we close up our learning for the day with our social studies, science, or health lesson. And then after that, the students go back to their seats. They fill out their planner, letting you know what color they were on, filling out their points. Everyone's doing fabulous with being responsible most of the time for filling that out and making sure that they take it home and get it signed. So that pretty much wraps up our day. After everybody is packed up, the bell rings and we go home. Now, I did want to share one more little part of our day that is not really in our schedule, but it's just part of our routine. So stay tuned for one last little section of this classroom tour. Okay, here it is. I just wanted to show you our Happy Helpers board. This is where the students are all helping out the classroom by doing a job. There's line leader, door holder, light switch kid. We've got table washer, table fairy. Everybody's just pitching in, and we're all working together to make the classroom run smooth. And you know, there's just so many little jobs that I need help with, and the students learn responsibility, and they grow as leaders because they're learning to take responsibility and make sure that things get done and help out. So that's our helper board, and I change that every couple of weeks. So the line leader for this week. We'll be it for a couple weeks, get good practice with it, and then in about 2 or 3 weeks, we'll switch out helpers. Of course, you probably know the most popular job is line leader. I don't know why that is, but everybody wants to be the line leader. And also over here is our behavior area, and you can see everybody starts off on green, and then we go up. Our rules are located over to the left of the chart, and there's our lovely moon. So if everybody is following directions and just doing really, really well, they can go all the way straight up to the moon, which was something I added last year with the behavior because I had so many students that were just doing so great. They just would go above and beyond, and we said, man, you're just going to the moon. So I hope that this just gives you a little idea of how our classroom is run, and I hope that you have enjoyed this tour. Well, I hate to say it, but the classroom tour is now over. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you've enjoyed coming in and seeing all the activities that we do each day, and hopefully it was beneficial. I know you know now how much work that we do each day. We're busy growing and learning. So again, thanks for stopping in and taking a few minutes just to see exactly what your child does each day in first grade.